What is up, ladies and gentle nerds? This is Graham, also known as Hamhawks42 on the internet, and today we are here with another edition of Overthinking MTG. And today's episode is brought to you by the fact that I am quarantined in my office and I don't know what else I'm gonna do other than tune up my commander decks. Because let's be honest, now is a great time for it in the age of social distancing. As I'm recording this anyway. All right, so we are on the Gatherer website. Let's go ahead and click on that random card button and let's take a look at what we get. All right, so today we are looking at War Chariot. It is an artifact from Ice Age that notably predates the vehicles mechanic that we will see in short order here. So let's go ahead and zoom on in. Let's take a look. What exactly are we looking at here? So it has a really lousy community rating, which means we're in for a treat. It is an artifact for 3. It is not an artifact creature. It's just good old vanilla artifact. And again, not a vehicle. Just throwing that out there. Pay 3 and tap it. Target creature gains trample until end of turn. That's all it does. It just you pay 3 just to put it down. Then you can pay 3 and tap it to give a creature trample until end of turn. I suspect even when this first came out, that wasn't good. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. Yeah, that's way too expensive. That's so ridiculously expensive. There are no words for just just ludicrously expensive that is. Um, yeah, this is truly terrible. If I was to reprint something, if I was to try to capture the essence of War Chariot and put it onto a modern card, I think what I would do actually is I would make it let's see. You know what? Actually, I would consider making an equipment actually, just for the way that it would function. I mean, it looks like a vehicle, so okay, but it bestows an ability upon a creature, and so that behaves much more like equipment, whereas um, a vehicle. Well, actually, if I'm not mistaken, we have, I think it was Thundering Chariot in Theros Beyond Death. So we do have a chariot that has been printed recently that is a vehicle, and it's fine. It's nothing special. It's okay. But War Chariot here, um, it gives a creature trample. That's the idea. So the way that I would treat this is actually similar to there's a there's a set of horns that came out in Mirrodin that was an equipment that gave a creature +1/+1 and trample, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have just been straight up trample. And I think that one cost 2 to put onto the battlefield, and then it equipped for 1. Or you could pay 2 green and equip it at instant speed. Volshock Battle Horns, I think it was. I could be wrong, but no, because Volshock was red in Mirrodin. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Um, but yeah, no, this card is rough. That said, I do really dig the artwork on it. It's just some good old-fashioned, old-school magic. It's by Damian Willish, and it is depicting a female warrior in it looks like kind of a Roman or Greek setup where and she is riding on a chariot. Her dark hair billowing in the breeze. She's got a spear or a javelin up, actually probably a javelin, ready to chuck it. And there are 2 brown war horses, or those Palomino horses. I don't know. Anyway, I don't. I know enough words. I know enough words to make it sound like I know about horses, but that's really just because I've read way too many fantasy novels. Fun fact: the exact same thing goes for nautical ships. Anyway, those of you out there who've read way too many fantasy novels growing up, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, you think you can talk about rigging too? Yeah, we can't, but we can sound cool. Anyway, so the War Chariot here, it also has this one detail that I really appreciate, which is the big spiked wheels, which were really vicious, as I understand, for taking out infantry that is trying to go up against a chariot. So if you were to actually go into battle on one of these, those big whirling spikes on the edge of your wheels could just, it's basically that that produces a lawnmower that is just turned on its side, facing, that's just whipping past your enemies. Yeah. And fun fact, I don't know if you've ever heard any horror stories about somebody who gets their foot caught in a lawnmower, but it's a really rough time. Yeah, and imagine that just being your whole body. Just saying. It's a bad time for everybody except the person on the chariot. They're doing just fine. Anyway, Yeah, so the chariot is kind of cool. I also kind of dig the fact that the focus of the image, like the center of the image is kind of at a spot that doesn't really make much sense. Like the focal point is kind of, you have the horse heads up here, you have the warrior back here, but the bulk of the image is actually taken up by kind of this dusty kind of kick up and the ground. Like it almost is as if the image is kind of off center a little bit, like there was somebody this looks like a still frame of somebody trying to capture this chariot on film. As if they were trying to film it as it went past and they just took like a still frame of it that was decent. It's very much an action shot. It's not fully centered. And I dig that. I like that a lot, actually. All right, and we do have flavor text on here. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's Chariot. The version of the Chariot. If I were to create this today, what I would want to see is an equipment that costs 0. Go with me on this. It you play it for 0, it equips for 1, equipped creature has trample. That's what I'd want to see. I think something that straightforward, that simple, could be a common that has the potential. It has the potential in the right deck to do something, but in all likelihood, that's still not going to be great. I'm thinking of in limited. If I were to crack that, especially early on in a draft, I wouldn't take it because even as an artifact that costs 0, unless I have some kind of crazy synergy, like some kind of weird constructed deck that cares about artifacts coming into play or cares about the number of equipments on a creature, those are the kind of situations where that might be worth something. However, as it stands, that still wouldn't be worth much. And the truth is, that card that I just kind of made up, if there is one similar to that, please let me know. I'd love to check it out. I know that the mana cost on that is the same as Paradise Mantle, which is where that came from. The idea of it costing 0 and then equipping for 1, and then just bestowing some ability on the creature. I know that there's a precedent for that. Yeah, and my thought is Trample is a very good effect on the right creature, but it's only good in certain circumstances. I mean, there's so many other effects that I would rather give. And the fact that War Chariot, you have to pay 6 to get there? Ugh, get out of here. That's insane. Although at the time this was printed, it's very possible that Trample was more specific to green. Nowadays, you see Trample in all the colors, especially on big bomb creatures. The fact that it's an evergreen mechanic that has just become part of the normal routine is just we just see it more often, and so it's a little less special, it's a little less unique to one specific color. There are bombs in white, black, red, green, and blue that all have trample. Granted, not so much on blue, um, but I believe they're out there. Of course I can't think of any off the top of my head now, but I have no doubt they're there. Yeah, because we don't associate trample with one specific color anymore. I know green has it more than anybody else, but all the same. It's kind of like flying. It's one of those it's all over, but there are certain colors that do it better than others. All right. So yeah, so we do have flavor text. I wouldn't advise using it with a woolly mammoth, but it's quite appropriate for many other beasts. Arkham Dagson, Saldevi Machinist. Cool. I didn't realize Arkham Dagson was a reference point all the way back to Ice Age. That's pretty neat. He has a really cool commander card, if I'm not mistaken, that allows you to search for artifacts. It's actually super broken, as I recall. Um, yeah, now I kind of want to look that up because I have a feeling that that would spark some more interesting conversation than this interesting thing we're looking at here. Although that's something that you see a lot. So the issue with this particular War Chariot, this particular card, it being overcosted, it also has the old school brown border, which I have to admit I'm kind of fond of with my artifacts, just because that's what an artifact used to look like. When I first started, it was just before Mirrodin dropped, so it was I was around for the last set where cards were printed with this border. That was Scourge, by the way, if anyone is paying attention at home. And I had so many of these old brown artifacts, and the vast majority of them sucked. And they sucked really, really badly. And I think the reasoning behind it was they were available to anyone. Any single color could have access to this card. You can put this in absolutely any deck. So we need to make sure that the effect that it has, especially if it's an effect that fits, like on one slice of the color pie better than anywhere else, we need to make sure that it costs more because it's not color specific. That was the idea. This is taking that to the extreme because the effect that it gives isn't that great. Like if it was like plus three in trample, okay. Like then we're getting to the point where it's almost playable. Even then, we're talking almost playable. Just trample, blah, no, get this thing out of here. Do we have any rulings on this thing? Yeah, certainly don't. We do. It is printed. It was originally printed on uncommon. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, all in all, I mean the artwork is cool. I kind of dig the flavor text and the idea of Arkham Dagson. Actually, this gives us an interesting take on his personality. So he's saying that it doesn't work. I wouldn't advise using it with a woolly mammoth, but it's quite appropriate for many other beasts. You know what's funny about that is if I have a creature on my side of the board that is the size of a woolly mammoth, that's exactly what I want to give trample to. So like the flavor and the mechanics do not line up at all. I can appreciate the insight into Arkham Daxam though, the idea that he was looking at this chariot and he experimented like, oh, what other animals can I put this on? Oh, can I put this on a horse? Okay, cool, it works on a horse. Neat. Can I put this on, I don't know, can I put this on a pony? Meh, that's fine. Can I put this on, presumably like a rhino or whatever else he had access to? It was like, oh, these are all fine. Oh, the woolly mammoth, not so much. That's a little big. But everything else, yeah, I'd say go for it. Yeah, that's kind of funny. Anyway, this is fun. War Chariot. Yeah, I would not advise anyone play this. The only situation in which I could see this being playable is if you want your opponents in a game of Commander to look at your cards and go, "Why the hell did you put that in here?" Yeah, this goes in that deck. Um, yeah, I think we need to build a deck around cards that have shown up on Overthinking MTG that fit in that deck. The "Why the hell would you put that in here?" deck that is on the power level, yeah, on the power level, like 1 to 10 scale, is a firm one. Like hardcore. Maybe a 2 if we like accidentally fluke into some synergies. But yeah, no, this thing, no bueno. Anyway, fun card, fun art. Not good, not playable. That's one of those if I had one, I might use it as a bookmark. But I that's where this belongs. That's where this belongs. It belongs in the place in whatever physical novel you're reading. That's where War Chariot belongs. All right, guys, this has been fun. Thank you so much. As always, I've been Graham, also known as Hamhocks42. I will presumably continue to be so moving forward. I will stream over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Hamhocks42. I look forward to seeing you there, and I will catch you next time.